Well. I am ready. I am ready to do this. I cannot believe what we're about to discuss. I cannot believe it. It is absolutely huge. One of the biggest transfers that is ever going to happen is now going to happen. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Alexander Isak is going to be leaving Newcastle United. Is he going to be going to Liverpool? That is something that we need to explore. That is something that we need to get to the bottom of. But as things stand, what we do know is that Alexander Isak is going to be leaving Newcastle United. Now, if he ends up going to another Premier League club, which I believe is most likely, if he actually ends up doing a Premier League transfer within the Premier League, he goes Premier League club to Premier League club, this will be one of the most significant transfers since when? Since when? Can you think of Premier League club to Premier League club a more significant transfer? I mean, I'm talking, what are we thinking here? Andy Cole, when Andy Cole went from Newcastle United to Manchester United. Fernando Torres, when Fernando Torres went from Liverpool to Chelsea. Robin Van Persie, when Robin Van Persie went from Arsenal to Manchester United. I honestly don't think that anything comes even close over the last decade. Nothing that's happened in the last decade in the Premier League, in Premier League football, will be as significant as this transfer. It really is a needle mover. That is how big this is. And I believe that it is going to happen. It is actually going to happen because there is absolutely no way that Alexander Isak will play for Newcastle United again. He's fallen out with the club. He's fallen out with Eddie Howe. He's decided that he's not going training. He should be in Singapore right now. But he isn't. And the fact that he isn't makes it untenable. It means that it is impossible for him to feature for Newcastle again. It is gone now. There is just no saving his relationship with the club, no saving his relationship with Eddie Howe. The fact that he's going to be leaving, it is simply huge. And he has gone out of his way to tell Newcastle United that he wants to explore options. He wants to try and find a way. Now, I need to know, what do you think? What do you think this means? Where do you think he's going to end up? Because I think this is such a significant move. I really do. Overall, there is just going to be no stopping Liverpool if he ends up playing there. That is how big this is. Imagine that front line. You're going to have Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, Alexander Isak and Mohamed Salah, all being managed by one of the most intelligent and nuanced managers in world football. When you think about the sprinkling of stardust that Arne Slot is capable of putting into a certain player. Remember, he made Mohamed Salah the best version that Mohamed Salah has ever been. Mohamed Salah has never been a better footballer than the footballer that he became under Arne Slot's tutelage. Ryan Gravenberch was totally redefined, totally reimagined, totally redeployed, and became one of the best players in the world in his position. Alexis McAllister became one of the best players in the world in his position. And we have seen what Arne Slot is capable of. So the fact now that he might get his mitts on Alexander Isak, sprinkle that stardust upon him and allow him to become the very best that he can be. This is a needle mover for the Premier League. This is one of the biggest transfers. The ripple effect of this transfer across Europe is huge. The noise that Alexander Isak is making now will be being discussed up and down the country, in every country around Europe. Because I keep bringing up Liverpool. I keep making this a Liverpool issue. I keep suggesting that he is going to be coming to Liverpool. By the way, thank you very much to Tommy Castillo. That's Tottenham Tommy, a long-term subscriber to this channel. Really appreciate your super chat. He says, I'm sending this super chat so that you can buy a Tottenham. Are you mad? A Tottenham scarf for the backdrop? Absolutely not. You'll notice that every club position behind me on that wall of fame is iconic. There is no room for Tottenham Hotspur. But great to see you, Tommy. Great to be in touch, and thank you very much for the super chat. Really do appreciate it. But with regard to the transfer, focusing now, I keep saying Liverpool. I keep making this a Liverpool issue. I keep talking about Liverpool because in my head, that's where Alexander Isak is going to go. There isn't a more exciting sporting project than Liverpool. It's the most exciting footballing project that there is in the game at the moment. And they have the history and the heritage, and everything about Liverpool Football Club is inspiring for a man like Alexander Isak. But maybe I'm jumping the gun. You know, Real Madrid, if you think about the way that Real Madrid conduct their business, if you think about the way that they went out the Champions League with a whimper, if you think about the fact that Barcelona are the current champions of Spain, Alexander Isak could well be on Real Madrid's radar. They love a Galactico signing. They love a statement signing. They love the idea of doing something drastic. So, could Alexander Isak be on his way to the Bernabeu? Equally, I mean, Barcelona. Barcelona are the best team in Spain. They are the champions. They are the champions for a reason. They also have a situation where Robert Lewandowski, as iconic as he is, isn't getting any younger. So again, is there a world where Barcelona are looking now at their front line, which is Rashford, Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, Robert Lewandowski, and thinking that there is a chance that they could do something fairly significant, that they could try and potentially prize Alexander Isak out of the clutches of Newcastle United? Because if he were to do something like that, it would be more satisfying for Newcastle, I think. I think if you think about the way that Newcastle will be feeling about this, they will be totally and utterly brokenhearted. And I actually think that it destroys what Newcastle are trying to build. I've seen a suggestion, and correct me if I'm wrong here, where do you sit on this? I think this is one of the most foolish things that you can say. When you approach this topic, if you believe on any way, through any definition, that this can be seen as good news for Newcastle. For example, I'm going to present the argument and then I'm going to destroy it. The argument is as follows. Many teams have built their brilliant team by selling the jewel in the crown. So you sell a dazzling footballer, you sell your best player, and you build a team off the back of that. The example that everybody likes to use would be Philippe Coutinho. But equally, you could argue that Eden Hazard left Chelsea. We got a lot of money for him. We won the Champions League. You could make that argument time and time again. A player leaves for big money. The team goes on for new riches. David Beckham left Manchester United. Manchester United went on, half a decade later to win a European Cup. These things do happen. But I am afraid that if Newcastle United lose Alexander Isak, they're not a serious club. They're not the club that they want to be. They're not the club that they have been portraying themselves to be. Top-tier teams do not sell their best player at the peak of their powers. Newcastle United have one of the best players in the Premier League. They amazingly have, bearing in mind where they finished, they actually have the best striker in the league. And I've been saying that for ages. I've been saying that Alexander Isak is clearly the best striker in the league. There isn't a centre-forward in the Premier League that is comparable to the brilliance of Alexander Isak. For Newcastle United, if they were to lose their player, I think the statement that it makes is all wrong. I think that they have to try and resist this. They have to try and dig in, fight, and we have seen situations in the past where you can't prize a player out of the clutches of a team that doesn't want to lose their player. For example, over the years, I've seen examples. Luka Modric at Tottenham. Luka Modric at Tottenham was destined for Chelsea. We broke our neck to sign him. Roman Abramovich was desperate to sign him. Chelsea needed him. And Luka Modric almost redefined the Premier League. Do you remember the way that Luka Modric landed in the Premier League? Alongside David Silva, he deserves some credit here as well. But you know when he sort of redefined the way that we view Premier League football? Like suddenly you didn't have to be 6'2" anymore to dominate midfield. Suddenly you could be Luka Modric. You could be the best player on the pitch and be 5'6", 5'8". And David Silva, dominating a midfield, totally controlling a midfield, totally bossing the tempo of the game. And they changed the game. They totally and utterly changed the game. And when Luka Modric was at his best, Chelsea were desperate to sign him. And we couldn't. He went on strike, Luka Modric. People forget this. He missed a few games at the very start of a season. He went on strike. He didn't get his move, and then he was the best player in the league that season in his position, arguably. Certainly Tottenham's best player. Tottenham held on, and ultimately they lost their man, but they lost him to Real Madrid, which was a better loss. They didn't lose him to a Premier League rival. They didn't lose him to one of their biggest rivals in Chelsea. I think that what Newcastle United here need to do is not lose their man. For them to remain a serious club, they must simply not lose their man. But I think it's gone beyond that. I think that there is no way that there's just no way that Alexander Isak isn't desperate to join this revolution that is occurring. There is something special and spectacular going on at Liverpool, and naturally, he wants a piece of it. A super chat has just landed here, by the way, from Senyeskinder, who says, "Hi Rory, I personally believe if Liverpool don't get him this summer, then Barcelona will get him, and Liverpool will have to look for alternatives." I think you could be right. If he doesn't get his move to Liverpool this year, I think that you are correct to suggest that maybe that move then doesn't happen, because that's how football works. Football is very much a case of striking while the iron's hot. Football is very much a case of making the most out of every single situation that you are presented with. And Alexander Isak will be looking at the sporting project of Liverpool and going, my God, I want to be a part of that. My God, I want to play with Mohamed Salah before it's too late. My God, I want to play with an icon like Virgil van Dijk before it's too late. My God, I want to link up with a player like Florian Wirtz and have a relationship for maybe the next decade. But say that move doesn't happen. Say Hugo Ekitike ends up taking his play through the middle. They don't sign Alexander Isak. Ekitike scores 32 goals in all competitions next season. Suddenly, Liverpool aren't even in the market for Alexander Isak. You've got to carpe the diem, man. You've got to make the most of that opportunity. And as Sammy says in that super chat, if he doesn't get his move to Liverpool now, there is a chance that he will not get that move ever. So I believe that he will be totally and utterly desperate for it. Thank you for your super chat, Senai. Aidan O'Keefe in the super chat also says, you need a Liverpool scarf at this stage, the amount of Liverpool content that you're putting out. Love the studio. I mean, you talk about what's hot, right? You talk about what's going on. Liverpool are front and centre of the conversation at the moment. Liverpool are on vogue. They are the team that are making the news. They are the team that are making the noise. They are the team that are making the statements, and therefore they are being covered. If that ends up being Manchester United, Tottenham, Chelsea, Real Madrid, that is who we will be discussing, because it's a love of football, my friend. That is what we are in it for. Sus says, I think we will win the league if we get him. Yeah, I mean, to be totally frank with you, I feel like you'll win the league whether you get him or not. But if you do get him, I am totally on board. I cannot see a world where anybody can stop Liverpool. Let's remember, Liverpool were the best team in the league last season, and they have already got better than all of their rivals. They've already made better signings than all of their rivals. They were already the champions, and they were the champions for a reason. And they are currently already better than everybody who finished second to them last year. And that's what champions do. And that's why it's so impressive what Liverpool are doing. That is why it is such an impressive transfer window. Because when you are at the top, you must simply get stronger. I mentioned this on the video that I made earlier about this very thing. Steven Gerrard, he spoke about this and he hit the nail on the head so squarely. He spoke about fixing the roof when the sun is shining. That means you don't wait for it to rain. You don't wait for it to be desperate before you make these signings. You go out in the sun when it's 30 degrees and you fix the problems, because then you're going to be so set for when the storm comes. And Liverpool are quite simply doing everything right. You just cannot argue with the way that Liverpool have conducted their business. They are doing exactly what they should do, and it is really impressive. Another super chat has just landed here from the Mindcracker, who says, if you had to put a percentage on the chances that Manchester United do a Manchester United and offer Isak 400 grand a week, what would it be? I could see Isak trying to get more money. To the Mindcracker, I don't say this with any real pride. I don't say this with any real glowing happiness or any glory. There is absolutely no chance. You've asked for a percentage. Manchester United will not sign Alexander Isak. That is the least controversial thing that you will ever hear on this channel. Manchester United would be 20th if Alexander Isak were asked. And bearing in mind, there aren't many clubs in the country that wouldn't be desperate to sign Alexander Isak. If you were to ask Alexander Isak, imagine you were one of his confidants, one of his friends, and he were to seek your counsel. I'm talking directly to you. Alexander Isak knows you, and he comes up to you and he goes, right, I'm going to leave Newcastle. I can't play for this team anymore for reasons that are not even relevant to this conversation. Where shall I go? How many clubs would you name? Remove tribalism, remove bias. How many clubs would you name before you were to tell your friend and your dazzling footballer friend where he should go? Manchester United are not in the market for this genre of player anymore. The days of Manchester United taking the world's best, the days of Manchester United going around the Premier League and taking the best player from every team in the Premier League, they are well and truly over. And I say that I'm not enjoying it, and it's true that I love the downfall of Manchester United, but I also believe that football in this country is better when our big clubs are doing well. I'm a Chelsea fan. Leeds United are one of our biggest rivals. But I don't want Leeds in the Championship. Of course I don't. Leeds United, football is better when Leeds are strong. Football is better when Manchester United are strong. But to answer your question, Mindcracker, there is absolutely no world in which it is even possible for Manchester United to be in the market for the best player in the Premier League in his position. It's just not possible. Robin G8 in the Super Chat says, Ekitike, Isak, Salah, Wirtz, Gravenberch, McAllister, Kirkes, Van Dijk, Konate, Frimpong, Alisson, Isak. Wants Liverpool, no other reason for a transfer request. Ekitike and Salah as narrow wingers, scary, but not for us. Yeah, I think you're completely right. You've said the reason that he wants to go to those clubs is for the reasons that you've just stated, and I think you're absolutely right. Liverpool Think about who Liverpool are. Think about what Liverpool represent. Think about everything that we know about Liverpool. They've always had the glorious history, haven't they? They've always had the incredible legacy. They've always had the support, the history of the Cup, the European Cup after European Cup, the back-to-back league titles in 83 was the last time, 82 was the last time back-to-back league titles. The most amount of league titles up until very recently. They've always had it all, Liverpool. But what they haven't had is the winning team. They haven't enough times in the Premier League had the winning team. You know, you think about through the 90s. They had an amazing team, didn't they? The Robbie Fowler team, Steve McManaman team. You know, Stan Collymore up front, John Barnes still playing. It was an excellent side, Mark Wright at the back. It was a really good team. A team capable, a team that could have won the league, the Spice Boy team. It could have won the league, but for one reason or another, it didn't quite get over the line. It didn't quite have enough about it. And therefore, they couldn't quite sign the players that they wanted. It was Manchester United that were going around the country, and Dwight Yorke scores to win Aston Villa silverware at Wembley. He wins them a League Cup against Leeds United. What happens to Dwight Yorke? Fergie takes him. Robin van Persie, brilliant player, one of the best players in the league, scoring goals for Arsenal, doesn't win the league at Arsenal. What happens? Fergie takes him. Time and time again, we saw Sir Alex Ferguson take the country's best. That is now Liverpool. That is now what Liverpool are. Gone are the days where Liverpool miss out on players. And if you're a Liverpool fan watching this, you'll have a player in mind because it happens so often. You'll either be totally distraught at the memories of Fernando Torres choosing Chelsea over Liverpool, totally upset and bewildered at the fact that Raheem Sterling chose Man City over Liverpool, or just still thinking what might have been if Damien Duff had gone to Liverpool. Still thinking what might have been if Sol Campbell had gone to Liverpool, if Nemanja Vidic had gone to Liverpool. All those players were destined for Liverpool, but not a bigger club. I nearly said a bigger, it's not a bigger club, but a better sporting project came along and took the player before Liverpool could make their move. Now, Liverpool are the sporting project. And alongside the sporting project, they obviously have the history. They obviously have everything that it takes to be... They're going to be unstoppable because they have everything else. You know, nobody really in recent times has ever... You know, the only... Maybe Arsenal are part of this club, but the only clubs really with that huge scale, you know, that volume, like, you know, when we talk about behemoth football clubs, Bayern Munich are one, Liverpool are one, Manchester United are one, Barcelona are one, Real Madrid are one. And then it gets into the European teams, and I would have said, and I'm probably wrong here, but I would say Ajax, Atletico, but people disagree with me. But now that kind of club with that kind of history and that kind of glory, like think of the glory of Liverpool over the years. You know, if you're Alexander Isak, of course you want to join a club like that. You think of the history of the club, right the way back to Ian St. John, Roger Hunt, all the way through Kevin Keegan, Graham Souness. It's European Cup after European Cup. It's glory after glory. Then right the way through, it is icon after icon after icon that have played for the club. So if you're Alexander Isak, your heroes could well have been Luis Suarez. One of the best players who have ever played the game, Luis Suarez, in my opinion. Literally, I mean that. One of the best footballers in the history of the game to have ever played the game. That's who Luis Suarez is. I think he was just a remarkable player, often underrated. And if you look at what he did when he went to Barcelona off the back of going to Liverpool, I think he's fourth in the all-time goal-scoring record of Barcelona. Above players like Stoichkov, above players like Ronaldinho, above so many icons that have led the line for that club, above Romario. That is how good Luis Suarez is. And he wasn't even there for that long. Alexander Isak would have been watching Liverpool in that era. He loved to follow in the footsteps of Luis Suarez. Alexander Isak is the perfect age to have witnessed the Cops singing that Fernando Torres song on full blast. Of course he's going to be inspired to join Liverpool. Literally, he is... hang on, think about it. Think about the age of Isak. He is the perfect age to... One of his first and formative football memories could be the whole Cop doing that. Remember? His armband proved it was a red Torres. He's going to be fully aware of what the club mean and who the club represent. So I think it is absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. I've got another super chat here from Kanja who says, better signing according to you, Wirtz or Isak? I said that Florian Wirtz was the best player to move this summer, and that would be unrivaled. I honestly said, when Florian Wirtz moved, you think about the player that Wirtz is, think about everything that he's done in the game, you know, think about how young he is, but he's been doing it at the top for 5 years. One of Germany's most important players, proven international. But I didn't expect this move. I said that no signing could rival the Wirtz signing. I said no matter what happens from this point on, the transfer window belongs to Liverpool because they signed Wirtz. But Alexander Isak has one thing that Florian Wirtz doesn't, and it's worth its weight in gold. And that thing is being Premier League proven. So to answer your question, Kanja, I'm going to have to say I think it's Isak. I think it's Isak because of the statement that it makes to the Premier League, what it says to Newcastle United, what it says about Liverpool, what it says about Liverpool's manoeuvring, what it says about the power of Liverpool, that they can just make a few phone calls, get hold of Ekitike when he looked destined for Newcastle, get hold of Alexander Isak when he is a Newcastle player. A couple of phone calls, it's all it takes if you're Liverpool. You know, if Liverpool wants something, just a cigar. Drop a whiskey, a cigar, make a few phone calls, done. It's like the Don. It's the way Tony Soprano would conduct his business. Just get it done. Easy. And they can bully. And the reason that they can bully is because they have been very wise when it comes to PSR. They generate a lot of money. They're a massive club. And crucially, this is the most important thing. They're champions. And they are champions for a reason. And when you are champions, something comes with that. You get the weight and might of being able to throw your weight around. And that is what Liverpool have now got. So, yes, I said a couple of weeks ago that Florian Wirtz was the unrivaled best signing of the summer. I said that nobody would come close to Florian Wirtz. But how on earth could I predict it? Now, don't try and say I got something wrong. Don't try and predict it. This is new information. Nobody could have predicted that Alexander Isak was going to move to Liverpool. So if, and in my opinion when, Alexander Isak moves to Liverpool, the fact that he is Premier League proven, the fact that he is a centre forward in the truest sense of the word, I think that Alexander Isak will be the best signing this summer. And it will mean that the best signing this summer, 1 and 2, are both Liverpool players. And they were already the best team in the country. They were champions already. Mantis says Barcelona can't afford Isak. That's the reality. Okay, if you are correct, I don't know enough about the finances there, but if you are 100% correct and you know that Barcelona cannot manoeuvre it, it means Isak's going to Liverpool. Because Real Madrid doesn't really make sense, does it? They've just bought Mbappe. It doesn't really make sense. They love Galacticos. They could do it, but he's going to Liverpool, isn't he? I mean, he is going to Liverpool. There is absolutely no way that that's going to happen. Sammy Chowie, my wonderful dear friend Sammy Chowie. How are you, sir? Sammy, I hope you're well, man. I look forward to seeing you over Chelsea soon. It says, love the new setup. Go on, Raw. Thank you very much for that super chat, Sammy. That's really kind of you, man. I hope you're well. I hope the family are well. And I look forward to seeing you soon. I really hope our paths cross, man. Kanja, where am I up to? Mindcracker in the super chat here says, what doesn't make sense is the timing. Why would he do this after Arsenal and Liverpool have signed strikers? I think it's a new contract thing. No. Mindcracker. He's burnt his bridge with Newcastle. This simply cannot be a new contract thing. There's no way that you don't go on pre-season with the club that you represent and expect them to pay you more money. The reason that they've done it now, the reason that Isak has done it now, and I'm going to say something here that I'm going to preface by being totally transparent. I don't know this for a fact, but I know enough about the game, and I'm fortunate enough to have discussed this kind of situation enough with people in the game. Isak knows that Liverpool are going to make this happen. So Isak, I suppose the old-fashioned term would be tapping up. But Isak isn't doing this blind. Isak isn't saying to Newcastle, I want a transfer request without any kind of knowledge as to where his future lies. Alexander Isak knows exactly what he's doing. He is a very intelligent man, but he will have very intelligent people around him. And he will know exactly what he's doing. He knows that Liverpool are ready to do it. And you say Ekitike, right? There is still room in the team for Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike. Ekitike played in a front two at Frankfurt with Omar Marmoush, City's Omar Marmoush. They were up front together as a two. Alexander Isak is totally capable of playing in a two with Ekitike. Equally, if necessary, Alexander Isak can drift. Equally, if necessary, Hugo Ekitike can drift. So they have a situation that is a gift for such a skilled manager, for such a brilliant manager as Arne Slot. He will now be able to be malleable, work it out, make it work, and where necessary, play two up front. Equally, where necessary, only play Isak. Equally, where necessary, only play Ekitike. You can have a situation where you sign players, and this is a possibility. This sentence is genuine. Alexander Isak can play instead of or with Hugo Ekitike. He could play... Ekitike could play instead of or with Alexander Isak. And you've also got a situation where Mohamed Salah, who's obviously still the jewel in the crown of the three that we're talking about, despite the 3-4, if you bring in verts, that we're talking about being unbelievable and unrivaled. Mohamed Salah is going to be going to AFCON. Liverpool in the past have been done a slight mischief when Mohamed Salah has gone to AFCON. So now they have a situation where Ekitike can play with or instead of Mohamed Salah. Isak could play with or instead of Mohamed Salah. Verts could play with or instead of Mohamed Salah. Do you see the gift of these signings, the depth of the squad? Try and work out where it went wrong for Liverpool last year. When I say wrong, they won the league, so it didn't go wrong. But why didn't Liverpool win the European Cup? What was missing? A little bit of depth? Just a little bit of depth, they would have made it through the night? That would have been enough? They have it. And that is why it's such a brilliant signing. Lewis Merritt says, if Isak joins, imagine how many assists Salah will get. Mate, do you know what? You know that record that belongs to, it still belongs to. Kevin De Bruyne was robbed, but it's still Thierry Henry, isn't it? 20 goals, 20 assists. Salah's got it in the bag. Salah's got it in the bag. Absolutely no doubt. Salah's got it in the bag. I mean, Salah under slot. Salah, this version of Salah. I mean, this is the best version of Mohamed Salah that has ever existed. He is the best that he has ever been. So there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that if Isak joins, Salah gets, double digits both. Welcome to the community, by the way. We've got a new follower who has joined the members, which is Phil. Lanks Phil. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much. Dan Arena says, logistically, Diaz, Nunez, Chiesa on their way out and the Jota tragedy. With Ekitike, Liverpool have 3 dedicated attackers. Isak being the 4th seems nailed on with maybe one young cheap winger and backup. I mean, I think you're right. I think Diaz, Nunez and Chiesa will leave. I think Ekitike will play as a dedicated number 9 when necessary. Isak being the 4th, yeah, I agree with everything that you said there. And also, you know, when you said maybe one cheap winger or a backup or whatever, a backup centre-half, yeah. A centre-half is a different conversation. Imagine if you get Mark Gay here as well. I mean, it could easily happen. Jordan in the super chat. Thank you, by the way, very much to all these super chats that are coming in. Dan Arena, a joy to welcome you to this community. I don't know if I've seen your name before, Dan, so welcome, mate. Jordan, welcome as well. What I think is scary is that if there's a world Isak doesn't go to Liverpool, they'll still sell Diaz and replace him with Rodrigo. That's their plan B. They're so well run, aren't they? You are completely correct here, Jordan. It's something important to acknowledge. There is a world where if this doesn't happen, and this is why the Ekitike signing was so important, it's why it was so clever from Liverpool, because they've got Ekitike in. So say Isak doesn't work, and it happens. You know when you get these long, drawn-out, protracted transfers, Isak puts in a transfer request. He goes on strike and you still don't get your man out of the club. Harry Kane at Tottenham, you just can't get him out. Luka Modric at Tottenham, you just can't get him out. Like when the year that he was hopefully going to come to Chelsea, you just can't get him out. Harry Kane was stuck. You know, if Alexander Isak ends up stuck at Newcastle and they make a statement and they say, you will not take our best player. For Liverpool, who cares? They've already got a goal scorer in. They've already got enough goals in the team already. And you're right, they'll go and get Rodrigo. You're absolutely right. Thank you, Jordan, for your super chat. James Pinky said it could still go wrong for Liverpool if they don't get a centre-back. I don't think it can, to be totally frank with you. I don't think it can. But equally, I believe they're going to go sign Mark Gay here. I honestly do. It's a different video, but I can't see a world where they don't go and sign Mark Gay here. Thank you for your super chat and welcome, James Pinky. I don't know if I've seen you around here before. A joy to be in touch. Rodrigo Ferreira. If Chelsea hadn't signed João Pedro, would Isak go? If Chelsea hadn't signed João Pedro, would Isak go where? To Chelsea? I don't think he fits our profile, which is a terrible thing to say considering the brilliance of the striker. Considering that he's one of the best strikers in the league. The best striker in the league and one of the best strikers in the world. I don't think he fits our profile. Ridiculously, he doesn't fit our profile. We wouldn't sign him. He's too old. Nonsense, but he's too old. Scottish JH says, can you imagine Guardiola's reaction to the news? Yeah, I mean, everybody. This is going to send tremors around Europe. Like, you talk about Guardiola, I guarantee you this, Mikel Arteta's not happy. I guarantee you this, Luis Enrique is not happy. I guarantee you this, Hansi Flick is not happy. Everybody is intimidated by what Liverpool are doing. Phil, the new member of the channel, says, FSG are no angels, but this has always been the long-term plan, and now Edwards is spearheading the execution. Love your content. Cheers. Very kind of you. Lovely, kind words. Thank you and welcome to the community. But you're right. FSG, you're right, they're not angels. They're called the Fenway Sports Group. It tells you in the title what they try and do. They try and extract money from football. But they're also clever enough to understand that you invest money, you create a winning machine, and that winning machine, your asset, will raise in value. That is what they are doing. You're absolutely right. Mr. Raghav says, how come Chelsea aren't in for Isak? We just discussed this a bit, Mr. Raghav, but it's effectively because it doesn't fit our profile. It's just not who we are. By the way, I've just seen a ridiculously generous super chat here from Abdul Mohsen. That's an unbelievably generous gift, so thank you so much. Welcome. I don't know if I've seen you around here before. I'm going to be going live loads, by the way. Can I ask anyone who hasn't subscribed, please click subscribe. It would be an honour to welcome you into this community. It really, really would. We're inching, by the way. We're only about 40 subscribers away from reaching the 344. So it'd be great. I'm going to be going live far more often, and it's so fun when so many of you are in here to see what you all have to say. But Abdul Mohsen, thank you so much. He says, Flora Maluda. Flora Maluda, Luda, Luda, Flora Maluda. Ooh, ooh. Heartbroken when he chose Chelsea over Liverpool. Yeah, mate, we've all got those. We've all got those moments when you think you're going to sign a player. You're almost desperate to sign that player. You think it's going to happen. You're convinced it's going to happen. And then ultimately, it doesn't happen. Adriano at Chelsea, mate. Adriano at Chelsea. But yeah, we've all got our version of that. Every single football fan in the world has a version of that moment. But thank you so much and welcome. I hope you're a subscriber, sir. Very, very kind. Daniel Coolerton says, what do you think the reason is John Henry has finally decided to spend big? Any truth in Klopp was the reason he didn't spend big? I think it's just a shrewd business move. I think the time is right. They've turned a profit for so long. They've won the league when perhaps they didn't expect to win the league, and they certainly weren't favourites to win the league. And sometimes you have to use a moment like that as the genesis for something different. They know that they have won a league that they didn't expect to win. So what do you do when something special happens like that? You make the most of it. You maximise. And you use the prowess that comes with being champions, and you say, we're going to do it again. What Liverpool are now doing is trying to create legacy. That is what they're doing. Joe Phillips here says, oh, mate, that's really sad news. I'm really sorry to hear that. Really, really sorry to hear that about... Oh, my God. Mate, that's just horrific. I'm genuinely heartbroken for you, mate. Sending loads of love. That's incredibly kind. And to suggest that I can help you through one of the most traumatic moments you'll ever go through in your life in any way at all is... Yeah, mate, mate, I'm sending love, man. And huge commiserations to you and your family. I really am. Good luck. Good luck with everything. That's horrific. Mike says, you talk so much sense, Rory, you were also great in Doctor Who. Those two things don't often go in the same sentence, but thank you very much. That is also very kind of you. Liquid says, I think if we get Isak, Rio will be given a chance. I mean, perhaps, yeah, that there is certainly a world. And William Santiago says, Isak to Liverpool, Sesko or Vlahovic to Newcastle with the money, Watkins to United, and Villa go Jackson to work with Emery again, like at Villarreal. I mean, you've solved the entire issue with the footballing centre-forward crisis that's going on at the moment. So excellent work from you. But I do also believe that it's going to be twists and turns galore going on. It is going to be a ridiculous next month of the transfer window, because Liverpool have set the bar so high that certain clubs, and this is a worldwide conversation, but certainly a Premier League conversation, but certain clubs that maybe weren't going to spend in certain situations, maybe felt like they had enough to compete. This transfer window and this approach from Liverpool has changed everything. It's had a completely, almost destabilising effect on the title race. So if you are an Arsenal fan, you were saying, all we need is a striker. You're now looking at it and you've got Gyökeres in, and I'm sure you're very happy with that. Or that nonsense celebration that I keep seeing some even friends of mine doing. I've seen it happen. Suddenly you're looking at it and you're going, is Gyökeres enough? Is that enough for what they actually need? And suddenly you're saying, I'm not so sure that it is, actually. I'm not so sure that it is. Ryan in the super chat here says, hi Rory, I'm going to be honest, while I'm happy we may get Isak, still have other areas to fill. We definitely need a centre-half, maybe two, considering only Van Dijk's generally injury-free. Of course, happy with Isak. I think you are correct, but I just don't think that you're correct today, if that makes sense. You're not the first person, Ryan, either to bring it up. I think a lot of people are talking about Liverpool's need for other positions and strengthening in other positions. You are right. And if you believe that the answer is Mark Gahey, then that's a conversation that we need to have. I believe that Liverpool will go and sign Mark Gahey. I really do. But it's not a conversation for now. Today you've signed Alexander Isak. Today is a good day, as Ice Cube once said. Today is a day that you should just enjoy it. Trust me, sir. Light a cigar. Turn into Tony Soprano. Have a drop of whiskey. Today is a good day. Tomorrow we can talk about centre-halves. But today, you're winning. Because Alexander Isak, one of the most prodigious and exciting footballers in the game, has agitated for a move. And I believe the reason he's agitated for a move is because he knows that Liverpool are interested. He already knows what is going to happen. You and I, sir, you and I, to everyone watching, we can speculate. We can enjoy the speculation. We can debate. Should Liverpool sign him? Should Newcastle let him go? Should Barcelona come in for him? Will Real Madrid get involved? Is there a world where Liverpool don't need it? We can debate. Do you know who's not debating? Alexander Isak. Do you know who knows exactly what's going to happen? Alexander Isak. He knows what is going to happen. And I say that with no knowledge. I am insinuating nothing. The term is tapping up. Tapping up is frowned upon. But I believe that he knows. That's just my opinion. Mohammed here in the Super Chat says, it's impressive from Liverpool, but curious. Where do you think Szoboszlai fits in? P.S. Stay high to stump peg. That's Neve. Is that a dig at my performance on the overlap, sir? I think it is. But I think it's a fair and just one. It's a criticism that I deserve. So thank you for highlighting it. It is something that you should have done. And I will certainly say hi to her if and when our paths cross again. With regard, though, to your first point regarding Dom Szoboszlai, I don't think it has a drastic impact on him. I got quite a lot of stick from quite a lot of Liverpool fans regarding Dominic Szoboszlai, primarily because I said that I didn't think he was good enough for Liverpool. If Liverpool are to become the team that Slot wants them to be, I don't believe that he is quite the player to be in that starting berth. But he's not in it anymore. Like where Dominic Szoboszlai played for Liverpool last season was basically the spearhead of the attack. He was the attacking midfielder of a team that won the league, and I think he scored, 6 goals? That isn't enough. I'm not being harsh, I'm not being snide. You can have a go at me. You can talk about the runs that he makes. You can talk about the overlapping run that he makes to create space. You can talk about the tackles that he puts in. You can talk about the fact that he covers every blade of grass. All of that is true. He's a very good player. But in that position, the reason Liverpool have signed Florian Wirtz is because Wirtz scored 25 goals last season, and Szoboszlai scored 6. However, there's still a place in the team for Dom Szoboszlai. You know, if Liverpool go 1-0 up away at Paris Saint-Germain, and they're playing in Paris, they drew 1-1 at home, and they're away, and they've gone 1-0 up. They have 15 minutes left. I think Dominic Szoboszlai could be literally the perfect footballer to bring on. There is always a place in the team, in a squad, for a Dominic Szoboszlai. Do you know those kind of midfielders? They are so valuable. Depending on your age, you'll remember a Chelsea midfielder called Jeremy. You'll remember a Chelsea midfielder called Thiago Mendes, who ended up at Atletico Madrid, one of my boys. Ended up at Lyon as well. Like, those midfielders are worth their weight in gold. They don't start every week. Remember Raul Meireles? Raul Meireles is a good person to bring up. He's got a Liverpool connection, right? When Chelsea won the Champions League, Raul Meireles was worth his weight in gold. Those kind of midfielders. Ramirez, one of my favourite ever Chelsea players. Genuinely, one of my favourite ever. Like, there's definitely, undoubtedly, a place in a team for a player like Dom Szoboszlai. He just can't be your goal scorer. He can't be your main man. There's room for him in the squad. And if Liverpool's season goes as they hope it will go, let's face it, Liverpool will do what? How many games are Liverpool going to play if it goes well for them next season? And it will go well. 60 odd? Of course, they're not going to play Wirtz every game. You've got to protect your team. You've got to rotate. So there's plenty of football to be played for Dom Szoboszlai. And I can see a world where he will lift the European Cup in his hometown. The Champions League final is in Budapest, isn't it? Dominic Szoboszlai lifting it aloft, lighting up the Hungarian sky with a European Cup. What's that song Liverpool sing about Emlyn Hughes, don't they? When Emlyn lifted it high, it lit up the Roman sky. You can see it happening. You certainly can. Ryan here says, if someone told me in January the business we would be doing this summer, I would have laughed. John has finally discovered the location of his wallet. I mean, it's truly remarkable what he's done. Is it fair to say that this is the best in history? Is this the best transfer window in history? I feel like it is. I feel like nothing comes close to it, actually. And in terms of like statement signings, again, Does anything come close to this in terms of statement signings? Premier League club to Premier League club. I said Torres at the beginning of this stream. Fernando Torres from Liverpool to Chelsea. Is this comparable to that? Robin Van Persie? Do you remember when Man United nicked Van Persie? That felt like one. Has anything else come closest? Let me dive into the comments. Can you give it what about even worldwide? Like, I know it's not quite Luis Figo, Barcelona, Real Madrid, but what is it? Realistically, how significant? If this happens, quite how significant is it? Let me Cantona. Who's that? I've just seen somebody there. Harry, presumably Harry. Harry. He's disappeared. I just saw like Arry. It must be Harry. I just saw the word Cantona anyway. Harry, I believe. You are absolutely right. Nail on the head. Leeds United, champions of England. Manchester United, they go and they take the best player from the champions, take him to Manchester United, the rivalry. Like, think about what Leeds Manchester United is. It's War of the Roses, man. Do you remember doing that at school? War of the Roses. Lancashire versus Yorkshire. That is what Manchester United versus Leeds United is. War of the Roses. And Eric Cantona crossed the divide. Lancashire versus Yorkshire, and he crossed the divide, man. Went over the Pennines. All that bumpy roads over the Pennines. And he took the Premier League title with him. That is the significance of this. It really is. And ultimately, I just cannot see how anyone can stop Liverpool next year. Harsh here in the Super Chat says, Isak, with 130 to 140 million transfer fee and 300k a week, is a huge risk with his injury record. Should have negotiated a release clause. Harsh, this might sound ridiculous, and I've got a feeling that you're going to disagree with me here, but let's see what the entire chat think. If you think about the kind of money that players are moving for, think about the sum that Liam Delap went for, 30 million, right? Young. Release clause involved, but whatever. Think about what João Pedro went for. Think about what Anthony Elanga went for. Is it fair to say that Alexander Isak is twice the player of Anthony Elanga? I think it is. And I actually think that he's better than that. I actually think that he's better. That he is better than that. So with that in mind, say he leaves for 130 million. I don't really think that it's that surprising, Harsh. I don't think that it's that overpriced. You know, in an era when Anthony Elanga cost what he cost, I mean, we have seen a lot of players move for a lot of money. Think about what Morgan Gibbs-White was rumoured to go to Tottenham for. I wonder what's happening with that. But you know when Morgan Gibbs-White went? How much better is Anthony Elanga? How much better is Alexander Isak to Morgan Gibbs-White? See what I mean? I don't think that the money is that skewed. I really don't. Terry Tibbs says, we've earned the right to spend, finally. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's your money. You've earned it. It's what you do. You're champions. You're champions for a reason. Combat Waffle says, will a better player than Wirtz move this summer? You must have just joined, Mr. Waffle. You must have just joined. Because this has been discussed. This has been discussed. To anyone that wasn't here first time round, we're going to do it again very quickly. I made a mistake. It's very rare. It's very rare that I get something wrong. But I suggested, when Liverpool signed Florian Wirtz, I said that Florian Wirtz will be, regardless of what happens from this point on, there isn't a player that will move this window that is better than Florian Wirtz. And therefore, Liverpool have already won the transfer window. 50% of what I said was correct. Liverpool have still won the window. The other thing that I said, though, I said a better player will not move. I believe that Alexander Isak, it's not that he's a better player. I just think that he's a better signing. There is one huge quality that he has that cannot be priced. It's worth its weight in gold. When a player is Premier League proven, they just deserve so much more credit. One of the massive mistakes that Manchester United have made over the last half a decade is that they haven't signed basically any Premier League proven players. And the one Premier League proven player that they did sign was Mason Mount, and he went wrong. But you need Premier League proven. So, Mr. Waffle, you are correct. I take it back. I was wrong. This would be a better signing. But it's to the same club, can you believe? Anthony Di Girolamo, cool name, man, says, FSG capitalising on the strength of the Liverpool squad relative to the rest of the team. They did this with the Red Sox and threw a ton of money at them when there was no other high-end competitors. I mean, if it's a strategy that's worked in baseball, If there's a strategy that's worked elsewhere and then they redeploy the strategy to work in the same arena of sport but a totally different game, they deserve a huge amount of credit. Absolutely. Very interesting there. Great analysis there from Anthony. Thank you very much for getting in touch. So FSG have done this before, have they? This is something that you have witnessed before. This is a tried and tested strategy from FSG. Very interesting. Andrew Lawler says, FSG playing 4D chess, City not the same, Arsenal bridesmaids, Chelsea rebuilding in a few years off, United who? Now's the time to dominate dynasty. You just can't argue with that. Apart from the bit about 4D chess, because I don't really know what that means, I think you're completely correct. Manchester City are not the same. Arsenal, again, may have missed the boat. They may have missed the opportunity, although the signing of Gyökeres is significant. Chelsea are rebuilding, you're right, and Manchester United are not in the conversation. You're right. This is the chance for Liverpool to create a dynasty, and Liverpool haven't had a dynasty since when? 84? Was that the last time that was that team that won it then? I don't think Liverpool have had a team comparable to that since then. Moments, but not a dynasty. What did they do there? So they won back-to-back leagues in 82, didn't they? They haven't retained a Premier League title. They haven't retained any title, Liverpool, since 82. You can see why, and I think Andrew Lawler might be correct. The 9 says, have Arsenal just missed their window for the Premier League? Saliba to Real Madrid next summer. I think this is the summer. This is the season where Arsenal need it. It needs to happen for Arsenal this season. Whether it will or not is a completely different question, but it needs to happen. Mohamed Veli says, bro, I can't believe you chose Gareth Bale over Hazard. Bale was a wicked footballer, mate. Bale was a wicked footballer, you know. Oh, look who it is. It is the wonderful Ade Oladipo, my dear friend. Anybody that's been watching the content recently will have seen Ade Oladipo, the zone's finest, John Obi Mikel's friend, Christian Vieri's friend, and amazingly, my dear friend. Ade Oladipo has been talking Liverpool with me, and we've been doing a lot of it on camera. And the reason that we're doing it on camera is because he won't stop chatting Liverpool to me off camera. He doesn't stop. He's a man possessed. I have to tell him I'm busy. You know, sometimes you just put in your headphones as do not disturb because you think, I can't talk to this geezer about Florian Wirtz anymore. Ade's in the super chat and he says, a dynasty is coming. I can't disagree with you, Ade. I think there is a genuine chance that could be on the case. Thank you very much. And I look forward to doing Talk Sport Drive with you tomorrow, my friend. Really looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Ade, and we'll get you back on the channel soon, I hope. Thank you for all of the time that you spent on here. It's a joy to talk football with you, mate. Euphemist says, loving the content, Rory. Just want to add, when people list our potential attack next season, they always seem to forget Gakpo. I think he's so underrated. Do you know what, Euphemist? I don't think that we're necessarily forgetting him. And I agree with you that he's a very good footballer. I just don't think that he's comparable to the players that we're talking about. He will feature for Liverpool. He will play a huge role for Liverpool next season, there's no doubt. But were you listening moments ago when I was talking about the impact that Dom Szoboszlai will have next season? I feel like it's comparable to that for Gakpo. Gakpo will feature. Gakpo will play 25 games for Liverpool next season, 25 appearances. But when you go away to the Bernabeu in the semi-finals of the Champions League, he's not playing, in my opinion. In my opinion, there's just no room for him in the team. That's not me saying I don't rate him. It's me saying that there are far too many other players that are simply too good. Interesting point, though, Euphemist. You are completely correct. Harsh Bade is back and says, next season's going to be crazy. 4 title challenges, maybe a resurgent Tottenham and Manchester United playing spoil. Harsh, you and I just argue, don't we? I'm sorry to do this again. I think the first time you put in a super chat, I just totally disagreed with you, and I'm going to disagree with you again. There aren't 4 title challenges. Tottenham will not be resurgent, and Manchester United are, Manchester United are insignificant. But resurgent Tottenham, do you really think so? What do you mean by that? Like, when you say resurgent, what are we talking? Are you talking like, you're talking like top 8? You're not talking more impressive than top 8, surely. Bosun says, Bob Paisley says Dalglish was worth the funds and the best of the best when signing him. After inheriting what Shankly built, history could repeat. Yeah, I completely agree with this point, Bosun. I haven't heard that, but I like learning things like this about the history of the game. So Paisley signed Dalglish, did he? Said that he was worth the money. The reason why players like Dalglish and players like Alexander Isak cost the big bucks is because they're wicked footballers. The reason why they cost the big bucks is because they are brilliant at what they do. They are the best in class of what they do. That is why they cost the big bucks, and that is why it is money well spent. I must say, I've absolutely loved this. Look, teaching me about Dalglish and Pay. I love that kind of thing. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. I've absolutely loved it. Can I ask you a massive favour? Could you please click the subscriber button? It would be my honour to welcome you into this community. It really would. I love what we're building here. I'm going to be going live so much more. I've got a new studio and I am loving the community that we're building. So if you would be kind enough to click that subscriber button, it makes me so happy to welcome you in. It really does help me out. And I'm dreaming of hitting the 345. So if anyone is watching not subscribed, do me a massive favour and click that subscriber button. Thank you very, very much. Oh, one person has. Welcome, sir. Thank you. Is that Turkish London? There he is. The main man. The absolute legend. What is happening, sir? Turkish, the Arsenal fan, who I'm sure many of you are aware of, has been on this channel fairly recently. And it was a joy to talk football with him. And he has said 75 million plus Havertz. Yeah. I know, mate. I know. It's absolutely ridiculous. I've seen some great content from you. You're out in Singapore following Arsenal. Mate, what a journey. What a time. What a crew you're with as well. Mate, I hope you're having a wonderful time, Turkish. And it would be an honour to welcome you back onto this channel when you're back in the UK. Have a wonderful time out there. Thank you so much for tuning in as well. Really do appreciate it. He's a good man, Turkish. He's well worth subscribing to as well. Brilliant man. And an Arsenal fan well worth listening to. Thank you so much, Turkish, man, and have a wonderful time out there. Send my best to the boys as well. Rohit Yedida says, Liverpool favourites, but midfield depth is thin. Gravenberch can't carry it alone. Slot has work to do if they're to compete on all fronts. Hang on, Rohit. I can't say I agree with that. Let's actually go through it, shall we? Should we have a think about the midfield? So you've got the obvious players, then you've got the backup of what? Curtis Jones won't play as often as... Curtis Jones won't start, put it that way. I don't think that it's as thin. I don't think it's as thin as you're potentially suggesting. I would say that Liverpool need reinforcements, but I would say that it's more about what happens at centre-half rather than in the midfield. I think that they need backup in midfield. But, they need backup at the back. But if you think about, what will it be? McAllister is obviously going to start, a brilliant player, somebody that is sensational and integral to what Arne Slot is doing. Ryan Gravenberch, we don't really need to discuss. Everybody knows how good he is. Everybody knows the role that he'll play, and everybody knows quite how fantastic a footballer that he is. So you've got two there that are in the bag and obviously will be starting. Curtis Jones is the support of that, and then it'll probably be Szoboszlai or Wirtz playing as midfield, right? Is that 5-6 quality players vying for 3 places? I mean, how many more could you have? But maybe that is true. Always a Red says, if indeed Isak does move to Liverpool, what do you think needs to happen with outings for Liverpool and incoming for Newcastle United? Time frame for the announcement. What do you think needs to happen with outings from Liverpool? Look, Liverpool will sell. We know the players that Liverpool will sell, and they'll sell them for big money. So there's absolutely no trouble for Liverpool there. Always a Red. It's a great point. Incoming for Newcastle is a real problem. I think this is a real disastrous moment for Newcastle United. I think that losing Isak doesn't only destroy them on the pitch, but it destroys what they're trying to build. It announces them as a selling club. It announces them as a club that sells their best. Serious clubs do not sell their best. And this theory that you can kind of sell Isak and build a Champions League winning team, I just think it's utter nonsense. I really do. It would be a disaster. And you're talking about how they would spend the money. Mate, they couldn't get Delap. Like they couldn't get James Trafford. They couldn't get Mark Gahey. They couldn't get Brian Mbeumo. Like, it doesn't matter how much money they got. They got the money now. Do you know what I mean? Like they didn't not get Mbeumo because of money. They just didn't get Mbeumo because he wanted to play for Man United rather than them. You know, they didn't not get Trafford because of money. He just wanted to play for Man City and not them. They didn't not get Delap because of the money. He just didn't want to play for them. It's going to be difficult for them. It's going to be very, very difficult. But I must say to everybody who's tuned in, this has been a joy. You know, I went live here and just like optimistic. I was like, I hope someone tunes in. This has been amazing. I have loved every minute of it. Thank you so much to everybody who has tuned in. Drew Mackham here says, feels like Liverpool switching to a 4-2-3-1. McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch and Jones will alternate. Szoboszlai play the Henderson role and cover. Yeah, I can see that happening. But I think this is the beauty of your manager at the moment, isn't it, Drew? He's a manager that can amend his style and formation in game. So, you know, if we go, I think they're going to play 4-2-3-1, he might play 4-2-3-1 for the first 15 minutes of the game. And then you'll look and you'll be in a 4-4-2. Then you'll look and you'll be in a 4-3-3. Like, he amends the game within the game. It's incredibly smart. And it's why he is one of the best managers in the world. So, yeah, I completely agree with you. I completely agree. And I can see Szoboszlai playing that sort of role, that almost selfless role that allows the attack to go so aggressive down one side, because he will compensate and defend on that side for those players. Rolled in the super chat, he says, while I admire how good Alexander Isak is, I think the money is better spent at centre-half and a winger if Diaz leaves. 2 years on Virgil van Dijk, one Canard. No, mate, Rolled, you're being very sensible. It's very impressive what you're saying, right? You're being very wise, you're being very sensible, and it's methodical. But sometimes you just need to say this. Alexander Isak is the best centre-forward in the country. You need him. You do anything you can to get the best centre-forward in the country. The geezer is a masterclass. He's a dazzling, mercurial talent. He's an unstoppable goal scorer. You need him. You're the champions, but you need him. You've got Mohamed Salah, but you need him. And the reason you need him is because everyone needs him. Because he is just a wicked footballer. So you're being really rational when you're talking about the money. Should it be better spent at centre-half? What about the winger if Diaz leaves? You're absolutely right. 99% of the time. But the 1% of the time is now. And the 1% of the time is sign the geezer because he's wicked. And that's where we're at. Andrew Lawler says the 4D chess is FSG did this in the MLB. Rebuilt the Red Sox from the ground up. After a lot of progress with shrewd signings, saw a gap. I like the Red Sox. My favourite gangster supports the Red Sox. So there we go. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. It really has been brilliant. By the way, if 50 of you like the stream now, just before we go, 50 likes will get us to 1,000 likes, which feels significant for some reason. And apparently it really helps us out. So again, I would really appreciate that. Please do us a favour. If you are not subscribed, please do subscribe before you go. Like I say, it would be an honour to welcome you into this community. So please do click subscribe. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. I'm going to be doing these loads. Oh, by the way, a super chat has just landed here from the Butter Knight, who has said, as a Liverpool fan, it's a weird feeling in this transfer window with who we've already got and possibly getting Isak, Rodrigo, Guehi. Feels like the multiverse is imploding. Mate, you're living the dream. You are living the dream. You're champions and you've got stronger than everyone else. And if you get Mark Guehi again, it would be another statement signing because he's the best English centre-half in the world, isn't he? First name on the team sheet when you're doing your back line for England. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Do me a favour before you go, click that subscriber button. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as soon as this goes up as a video. And like I say, I'm going to be going live loads. So thank you for tuning in. You have made this so much fun. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, click subscribe, put the bell on so you don't miss the next one.